Hello, everyone. Welcome to another round of the Galactic Pod Racing Circuit. I'm Game Draka, joined by Domaray today, and we are starting on, and I'm not making this up, to Training, which is Paige's best track.
Yeah, it's a very surprising pick, to say the least. I don't think Beleos was quite aware of how one-sided Paige's ability is on this track compared to other tracks.
Yeah, it's like, he just told us he's like a tenth of a second off world record.
Yeah, 10th or 2, it's like, and I think I think she said 4th best or something like that on the track, and on Boon to Training, that's saying something.
The top times are like off. Yeah, the top times are off by like hundredths of a second.
Very entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, wonder if they're gonna go for tourney record here, because he could. I
believe Paige actually will, because tourney record is by Mikey Berg right now, and it's like a 135.9. So she's certainly capable of doing it. Like, there's no reason for her to not be able to do it.
Okay, both are ready. Captain has been given, and here we go. Probably one of the most lopsided matches of the tournament.
At least in terms of beginning maps.
I still can't believe this. It's like just so solid.
I really didn't expect this at all. I thought that we were never going to see Paige on Boon to Training course, to be honest.
Here's Beleos off, and now Paige is off. Let's see how fast she can go.
Alright, so good lines from Paige so far, going up that beginning hill. Completely expected, of course. Paige is already, despite being behind, past Beleos on the course. Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
You can see Paige going for a jump there, cuts off some of the track, and saves her from having to try to avoid a rock that Sybil was going to break for her.
32 first lap.
That's a very good first lap. Even with that heat, that's like very fast. We're looking for a really fast time here. Beleos' only hope is if Paige goes too crazy and somehow manages to crash, but even then it seems like this might be too lopsided already. Looks like we're having a little sync here real quick. Alright.
And the sync just made it even more lopsided.
Yeah, Paige has already completed 2 laps. Okay, second lap makes sense given the first lap heat and whatnot, but Beleos is just now coming in. Oh man. Pretty good heat so far, I'd say, for Paige. Coming into this final stretch here. Beleos just now about to get to the canyon as Paige is leaving it. Oh no! That might have just ruined the tourney record. That little bump right there.
Yep.
Yeah, dang it. That's so sad. That's so sad. Oh, you hate to see that.
And that is probably the only time Paige is probably gonna race this track.
That was her one chance, and it just got killed by the tiniest of tiny rocks. Oh, yes. You hate to see that.
Okay.
Yep, Paige just said now to never play that track again. It's so true.
Difference of 10 seconds.
Alright.
We're just...
So, as you can see on our screen now, or on your screen, I suppose, not our screen, but anyway, Paige has brought up the sheet here for us to look at. It's a little bit stretched, kind of hard to see, but we'll go ahead and keep you posted on what they say, so that way you can keep track of it somewhat.
Okay, so Beleos first permaban.
I would expect to see, not, I mean, obviously he has no reason to ban Boon to Training, but I would expect to see something like M100 if he knows Anything about Paige? Fire Mountain is a reasonable pick. First permaban for Beleos. Let's see what Paige does. Mongaza Speedway. That's gonna be a pretty common pick for higher or top players compared to lower players, I would say, just because MGS has that comeback potential of one mistake and like the lower ranked player could take a win. All right, let's see what Beleos does for a second track ban. All right, looks like our second track ban from Beleos is going to be Sebulba's Legacy. And the second track ban from Paige is going to be Gauntlet.
Yep. Temp pod ban coming. Was my phone going off? Mars Grow.
I wonder if he's picking something on the maybe more turn ratey side, like something like Doug Derby or something like that. It could be possible.
Go to classic ban
That's
from Paige.
That's a good temp ban given the Mars. Nice reaction from Beleos there, going to the Bunta Classic temp ban. Wonder if that means he was planning on going there, or if that he means he would never pick that track. All right, looks like we're going to Zugga challenge with no forces. So just a nice, good old Ben race off. Love to see it. Now, personally, I don't really care all that much for Zugga myself. It's a little bit boring, but we might see some interesting deaths here.
The Dozer always seems to sucker punch you on the second, third laps.
If you're going on a good pace, first, second laps can be pretty easy, but that third lap, you really got to be going fast to not have to take a hard break on that one. And even then, it's can be hard to avoid the tires completely. Oh, and yeah, we gotta remind Paige to switch off of that screen. Don't want her to do the same. Oh, Paige is saying, oh, there it goes. All right, cool. Just don't want her to make the same mistake that Ace did. Yeah. Casually leave it up. All right, so I'm not sure if they're going to do much warming up, but it should be a pretty dramatic difference from Bunta Training Course to Zugga Challenge. For reference, I'm talking about traction there. So Bunta Training Course is a very high traction track, trying to really hold boosts to where you normally can't. Versus Zugga Challenge, you really want to just get nice, clean turns and hold boosts around certain turns and better lines, right? So you want to use a generally lower traction, especially compared to Bunta Training is much lower than that.
Beleos is ready. Paige is ready. Okay. Both are ready.
All right, we're giving a countdown here. We should see that coming up shortly. Small delay, of course, between the countdown and them actually starting, but shouldn't be too long. So how did you feel about Zugga back in the day, Draco? Since you've been running the game for so long, what did you think of it back then?
First lap easy, and then the last two, those are sucker punched because of its orientation.
Yeah, the track overall is fairly simple, I would say. I mean, there's not really much happening. You see they get some somewhat rough turns at the beginning here, going in between these vehicles, but other than that... Oh, and speaking of the vehicles, Beleos takes a crash on one. Pretty easy to do without good routing and practice of it.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah, because the timing of the dozer was so optimal on the first lap that I just did my single lap record back in the day with just one lap because I didn't want to have the build-up lap throw the dozer off on the second lap.
Yeah. With the, tries to repair and somehow manages to crash while repairing. That's an unfortunate death. And it was in the hairpins, but I mean, there's worse places to die, I suppose. But you can see there's a massive gap in between where... another death in the tubes now, too. Beleos not having a good time here at Zugga. Paige still crashless. Look to see what her time is. World record pace would be about a 126 for all three laps, really. They're all pretty similar times, so be interesting to see how close Paige is. Oh, 4 seconds off
first
on the
lap.
first. Okay. So I would say we can expect to see around 430 is pretty reasonable. Probably a little bit faster if she stays deathless. Ooh, Beleos just barely skimming under the dozer there. Coming in with sub 2 minutes, just barely. So if I'm not mistaken, Beleos is one of the, if not the lowest ranked player in their group, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we would expect normally to see a 5-0, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens this time for a 5-0 from Paige, since Paige is the second highest in the group, I believe. Yeah, second highest, behind King and Bean. For reference, there are a total of 4 groups here. Oh, it takes a safe strat. Yeah, that was a very safe strat. I don't think that was really necessary, but I can respect it. Still on 430 pace. But yeah, Ace just posted it. If you look in the chat, you'll see a link to Challonge, or however you pronounce that thing. It'll give you the bracket, and the bracket's broken down into 4 main groups, and Paige is in the same group as King Bean, Dimps, Alaska, Cylinder, and Beleos, with Paige being the second highest seed and Beleos being the lowest seed.
Oh, Paige caught fire.
Taking some bumps and damage there too, not too bad though. Kind of awkward boost pattern, probably because of the fire. Also, you can see that she's taken very wide lines through these tunnels. Generally speaking, it's better to wait to boost a little bit later and take a better line, but whatever gets it done. Sometimes you just get a little bit nervous in the moment, start taking those wider lines in favor of boosting, and it's understandable. Probably gonna have to deal with a bad dozer here. It's gonna be pretty high up the hill, I would suspect. Yeah, all the way up.
Yep, at the
Super
summit.
safe. Yep, super safe, low, high amount of braking. Not gonna be a 430, but pretty close. Yeah, 433.
Or
Nothing bad about that.
33.
All right. So that puts Paige up 2-0. We'll have to see what Beleos chooses to go to after this. It'd be interesting to see if he has a strategy for dealing with higher players. So far, it hasn't seemed that way, but you never know with all these forces. Oh, gets a red engine.
Flashing red, which when you get flashing red compromises your handling. 522.
Full, nearly 50 seconds behind. Nearly. That's just how these groups can be sometimes. You get paired up with lower and higher players, and it's just massive gaps sometimes.
Man,
All right.
Ben.
Beleos bans Ben. Gonna be interesting. Hopefully. If I were Paige, I would probably ban one of the Aqualaris tracks just to get rid of, like, specifically Sunken City or
Executioner.
Executioner, huh? Okay. I would have banned Sunken City or Bumpy's Breakers because if you get forced to bulls on those, sometimes that shortcut can be sketchy.
The shortcut ripples on Executioner is sketchy as well.
Oh, Beleos was actually planning Executioner. Nice. Yeah, I would definitely go max traction on Executioner with Bulls, especially. Even though you do it with Ben, with Bulls, it's especially important.
This from Paige is just reading him.
Yeah, Paige really do be reading Beleos' mind. Force is strong with this one. All right, let's see what Beleos is gonna pick instead. Had to do a change of plan there. I'm expecting, like I said, maybe one of those Aqualaris tracks if he feels like he can get through that shortcut safely. But then again, maybe he hasn't thought of that, because I personally think that Bulls, while he can do it just fine, is a little bit annoying, especially in a tournament setting to do those tracks on. But where red bands were, I'll just quickly remind him.
Nope.
Okay, Beleos picks Vengeance. Ooh. That's gonna be interesting.
Vengeance without Ben. Headband bowls.
Oh, Force bans Bulls, which means that we're likely gonna see what, Aldar, Beto, maybe, or maybe even Mars.
Dude, Mars is probably the safest bet here because the ones left in Mahonic and Elon Mac are really greasy like bowls.
Yeah, see, really, your only two options are Aldar, who has terrible handling, or Mars, who has great handling.
Or Elon Mac, who's in there too. You could use Mahonic
Yeah.
or Elon Mac for this track too.
True.
So yeah.
I would say that likely because of the fast train and how you want to cool off there, that it might be Mars is actually faster than Aldar. I don't actually know specifically who's best compared between the two in terms of IL setting, but I would expect probably Mars would be more a higher chance of being used.
Yeah. Yeah.
See you here shortly, though. Nacho. Nobody wants to play Bozzy on this track.
Oh my God.
No, thank you.
Game crashed.
Okay, Beleos is going
Mars
to
from
Mars.
Beleos.
That makes sense. I would say even with Mars, you'd still want to go a pretty high traction setting here, because you really want to be able to hold a lot of lines with boost, so that way you can cool off in the fast train. I'm not sure how much Beleos knows about that, but it certainly is something to consider for Paige and other future contestants. Beleos warming up and dying.
Yeah. Well, yep. Paige is, I think, using Elon Mac.
Oh. Okay then.
This is what I mean. You could use Mahonic or Elon Mac, who would probably be faster. There's no off-road portion.
I personally wouldn't want to go Mahonic here, just because you have to boost so much in the tubes with his high cool rate compared to Elan. I'm not sure who's actually faster between the two, but...
I think Mahonic optimally is slightly faster than Elon Mac. Okay, both are ready.
Mahonic has a higher average speed. But I'm not sure if Mahonic, due to the fast train's long length, is actually faster on Vengeance or not. It's interesting. Yeah, Elan's definitely not a bad pick here, though.
And why is it that Elon Mac tends to be the sucker punching pod of this whole tournament? It was like this in last year in 2020 and in 2019 as well.
What exactly do you mean by the sucker punch? Like, just surprise pick?
Well, they would pick a safer pod like Mars, and then this guy would go, one player would use Elon Mac and bust the guy with Mars. It happened twice on Inferno with the match between Ace and Mike on Inferno in 2019. And it also happened again between, I think, Metallica and King Bean Dip or even Paige, where I forgot who it was, but it happened both times on Inferno 2 years in a row.
Interesting. Oh, Beleos takes a death in the figure 8 hairpin area. It's a very easy place to die with Mars.
This track just can kill you everywhere.
It really can, and despite what everybody likes to believe about the tubes, generally the tubes are the chill part of the track. Because it really does kill you everywhere.
This tube is never chill for me, because I tend to always start spinning on the second and third laps at low frame rates, and that means I have to dodge those massive rocks and reactor core beam, which not only is certain death, it will kill you even with invincibility.
I will give you 24 FPS. It's not chill anymore. I'll give you that.
106 with Elon Mac.
That's pretty good, I would say. You can do better, but for tournament, that's gonna be good enough most of the time. Oh, Beleos taking a couple deaths in a row here. Mars is really hard to handle on this track if you don't have a lot of knowledge of the track, which I'm assuming, given his overall experience, he probably doesn't have a ton of individual knowledge on Vengeance, since most players tend to avoid it for a while.
Yeah. I personally consider it one of the hardest tracks in the game.
I would say that it definitely can be. Like, it's sort of on the same level of Abyss in the sense that it's not the track itself that's hard, it's the fact that you can die so easily that makes it so hard. So in a tournament setting, it's one of the harder picks to be consistent with.
Yeah.
105 seconds. Okay. Still keeping a good pace here. I think she under.
Oh!
Oh! Takes a
Elon
crash
Mac
on his
is a
head.
wide pod.
Yeah, he
Wide and
really
greasy.
is. He's surprisingly wide too. Like he doesn't really look like it, but he just has those little things sticking out of his engines that make him slightly wider than you think he is.
His binders
Beleos
also, I
taking
think.
more deaths here in the tube. Very commonplace for people to die that don't have the asteroid pattern memorized or play at a low frame rate.
Yeah, this track is hell at low frame rates.
Speaking of, I just noticed that Beleos is running this track at 30 frames a second, which is not recommended.
No, this is like
This
track
you go
is
60. You go 60 on this track.
this track is a catch-22 because at low frame rates the tubes are just atrocious, but at high frame rates you run the risk of sock locking in the tube.
Yeah. And also, Ace brings up
At
a good point.
320.
30 is not bad with Mars because he has a higher traction, but still. Also, 320 with a crash, that's pretty good.
Yeah. I actually did 321 on this track back in the day with Bullseye Navarre.
Yeah, and Bullseye, of course, being somewhat slower than Elon on most tracks.
Yeah. But the original N64 record holder was Ruder Jansen. I actually first beat his bend time on Vengeance with Bullseye.
At least...
That's how far it's come.
Yeah, at the very least, Wooter knew still that Ben was going to be the best here because he tried to pick the best pod for every track, and he did a decent job. Oh, that's a
death I don't usually see.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one before. Oh, it's just spiraling out of control this last lap for Beleos here. The death after death. It's
literal death spiral.
This reminds me of my most recent attempt at 100% skips upgrades. I got to Vengeance and somehow managed to die 4 times. Not good. I rage quit after that. 439. Ooh. Yeah, it's a rough one. All right. Well, let's see what we get here. Been interesting so far.
Oh, I don't know if that was the oops we were talking about. He said if you watched the video, did a hilarious oops on the tunnel.
I think that would be the one that we were talking about, where he somehow crashed into the yellow part of the tube.
I think that, yeah.
That takes the cake for the most unique death I've seen on Vengeance.
I've done commentary for the past 2 years. I have to say, that is one of the most unusual deaths I've ever saw.
Yeah. Gotta love it, though. Gotta love it. Vengeance always coming out with new surprises, new ways to kill us.
Yes.
I'll find a way to do that someday, now that I've seen it.
Yeah. Bullseye!
Right. Ooh. I'm gonna expect Paige to temp ban Grabvine, probably.
Yes, he did it! Ban Grabvine!
Makes sense, makes sense. People really don't want to go to Grabvine without Bullseye, and I don't blame them.
Oh, yeah.
Neva Key really is not only worse Bullseye, but wider Bullseye, which does not help his case.
And energetic, too. His acceleration is, like, so energetic, he's super hard to control.
I actually toned down his upgrades of acceleration purposefully on that track. Yeah. It's not worth accelerating that much. Alright, let's see what Beleos is going to choose for track and forces. Right now, he's probably two tracks away from being losing this match, most likely. Could bring it back a little bit, win a 1 or 2 probably, but he's got to use his forces smart here. Beleos opts for
Baru
Baru.
Coast.
Oh,
Baru Coast, no forced.
Okay. I do know that Paige actually does like Bullseye on Baru. So that's actually not a bad pick.
I would suspect Mars go with this because Ben is so brutal to use here.
Yeah, Mars is easily second best pod on this track. Like, it's by a wide margin that he's better than third.
Yeah.
So if you're not gonna go Bullseye, even if you're used to Bullseye, you might as well go Mars. Although it looks like Beleos's PBs are with Neva Keys, so we might see that. Yes, we are not? Question mark. Ben?
He's going
Really?
with Ben? Really?
Wow. That's a shocker. If he stays on Ben, that's a bold pick. Paige is Paige gonna also go Ben? Maybe? No?
Both of them are looks.
Elon Mack again. Love to see it. I know Elon Mack is basically capable of around 4 minutes here. I don't know exactly what time, but around 4 minutes. I would suspect that Paige.
I suspect Elon Mack's probably third or fourth with Mahonic.
We'll okay. Somewhere in there. Ace
Ben
is
and
claiming
Elon Mack? What? I don't think either of us expected this.
No, not the combination I expected.
Oh my god, I have no idea what to expect with this.
Unless Beleos is used to using Ben is not faster than Elon Mack, that's for sure. Even with his higher boost stress, if you don't know what you're doing, it's gonna be a rough time. Okay, Beleos says he's ready. Said ready AF.
Okay,
right,
both
Paige
are ready.
Is also ready.
Countdown has been given, and I have no idea what to expect with this. Because you should only use Ben on this track if you completely tap out every other pod.
Yeah, Ben really is only useful once you're capable of getting sub 4 with like Mars or something. That's really when he starts being somebody you want to start picking.
Yeah.
I remember my first submitted time on this track was like 3:57 with Mars, and that was before I used Ben, so like even then, I still want to pick the easier pods usually, but the Ben pick's super bold.
And also I will say too is that Ben on Baru Coast is considered the second hardest track optimal combination after Bullseye on Graphine.
Yeah, also Paige taking a death with Elon very early on. And it's actually behind Beleos because of it. Although Beleos taking some interesting lines here. Whoa, flying over the mountain!
I'm amazed he didn't hit the statue!
Mm-hmm.
Beleos is now in the lead temporarily, probably.
Yeah, Elon's superior turning might prove to make Paige have the pass, and Paige passes Beleos back. Huge difference.
This is where the match really comes down to, because Ben just blasts through that beat straight and then struggles in the bends, which is why Mars, Elon, Mahonic, and Bullseye are really fast on this track too.
Yeah, and this track certainly has room to go in terms of how far the world record can go, because there's a lot of hard strategies with Ben, but taking those turns, oh, another death. Beleos is gonna pass Paige back here in a second. Assuming he can do this correctly, assuming. If he can't, doesn't quite get to passing her. 3/10 in between the two.
Using pods, I think neither one is used to on this track.
I really don't think either one of them is used to it, yeah. Right now, they're both barely on a sub-5 pace. Red engine, not a good thing for Ben to see here.
Because this is...
I think we're starting to see Paige pull away a little bit. Might be a little bit unrecoverable for Beleos now.
Yeah.
Unless Paige takes even more
bands.
deaths, which I suspect that she's going to play a little bit safer.
And Elon's so much faster, better than Ben at the bends.
Oh yeah. I believe Elon Mac has around a 95 turn rate or something like that, and Ben's is like 89. So it's not a significant difference, but the fact that it's there, really, you can feel it on Brutal. It's like, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you can really feel it because of the turns being so extreme.
Yeah.
And as you said earlier, Elon is a very greasy pod, and that helps him actually on this track.
Yeah, Ben is a really stiff pod.
Second lap.
123.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
Ooh, deep into the red. Looks like Paige is warmed up more to it.
Yeah, I mean,
like...
switching pods always takes some warm-up, so the fact that she went from starting on her favorite track, the most comfortable track of Ubuntu training with Ben, ending up here somehow with Elon Mac on Peru Coast, I imagine that would take some time to warm up. Alright, Paige coming through the last jungle section, or whatever we call this. I don't even know, I just call it the jungle. Alright. Beleos on his last desert area. Chronoslovakia, these courses have some insane times at the top level. Like, comparing it to how it used to feel when I was a kid, it's so crazy how much faster you can go. And it just seems to really be hard to reach any limits. Although they're clearly there in some sense, it's like, oof.
Even from when I started back in 08, it's just been crazily advanced. 424.
424 with, I think it was 2 or 3 deaths, so yeah. Nothing to complain about there. At least with the deaths. Just means that she was having a decent time overall outside of that. I would imagine that having that many deaths there would be quite unfortunate against most other higher tier opponents, but it gets the job done against Beleos, unfortunately.
Also, she was using a pod she was not used to on this track.
Yeah, for sure. Looks like it's gonna be a 509 for Beleos with Ben. Okay. All right. Coming up on match point here. Paige advantage. I suspect it should be. I suspect it'll be the last race as well, given how it's gone so far.
Yeah.
I think Beleos still has, 2 forces remaining, so it'll be interesting to see if he decides to use them this time. Maybe even do no upgrades or something like that, or skip if he knows any. Ban's Ben here. Okay. Perhaps an executioner ban again from Paige. Yep. Okay.
Yep. He bans executioner again.
All right, makes sense, I suppose.
Doug Derby.
All right, Doug Derby without Ben, so that leaves Bulls and Mars really is the top two or something like that. It's up there. It's around there. Let's see any other forces. I'm kind of hoping that we see maybe even skips here. Be interesting to see if Beleos even knows the skips for Doug Derby. Force ban bulls. Okay. So now we're basically down to Mars. Oh.
He's using both. He's clearly gonna be using both. Ah! Is Beleos gonna ban Bullseye since he just suggested? Bulls? And what is he gonna do? He's gonna force... Ah! He's betting Mars! Oh man,
all
we're
right.
knocking into it.
So we might be seeing... We're probably going to see another Elan, to be honest.
So who is the track favorite for this track,
yeah,
too?
I'm going to see the track favorite.
Okay, so we have... So we're banning...
Ben, Bulls, and Mars.
Okay, Paige is ready, so we're not waiting on Beleos this time.
What an interesting match this has been.
Lopsided but ridiculous.
For sure.
This is by far one. Okay,
One of the more
both are
entertaining. Okay. Cool. Okay, Beleos, yep, going Bullseye.
Yeah, that makes sense. Bullseye can get...
You have AI with him? Oh, he has Elan with him. Okay.
Yeah, he did the big reveal. Doing the track favorite Elon back.
How did we get to seeing
Bullseye's
Elan
pretty good
3
here.
times in a row? Bullseye and Elan are both really solid here.
Yeah.
So if Paige can get a pretty clean run, I think Elan is faster. I think. Don't quote me on that.
I'm not... Yeah, because I know I first broke this... I broke 140 with Bullseye back in the day.
Yeah, Bullseye
And
can
I think
definitely
Bullseye-
get 130, like 137 or 138 is probably.
137 is around
Yeah.
Bullseye's max if you play him perfectly on this track.
Oh,
Bump,
bad scrapes for
bumpy
Paige
through
there.
the Andretti hairpin.
Okay, but we can already see that see superior boost thrust coming into play here on these
Here
longer
comes
straights.
young Matt Paige through the roll straight. Corkscrew. And the rainy curve.
Oh,
And-
bad damage for Beleos there. Red engine and Paige pulling away already. That's just how Doug Derby is, though.
35.47.
I think that's okay.
That was alright when he took a bumpy Andretti hairpin first lap.
Yeah, that was certainly a rough one.
Much more consistent roll straight. And go through the corkscrew, which is really hard with Elon. Nails it. Rainy curve again. Oh.
Oh!
Calculated!
Beleos having a little bit of catch-up time, but still pretty far behind.
And if you're wondering why we call these curves the way they are, it's because this track is based off of Laguna Seca in real life, and those are the names of the curves on Laguna Seca and Paige
Guys
crashes.
in the shortcut area. That's an unfortunate death. Beleos actually
See.
closing ground now. Not a ton, but somewhat.
There, Cal. Now he can get one nice boost with this. He can get one nice boost.
Alright, Paige coming in. Last sections here. Beleos through the corkscrew.
Oh, crashes in the corkscrew.
Seemed like really high traction there. I'm not surprised that Bullseye couldn't make that turn. A 151 with a decent number of crashes. Not terrible.
Oh, all you're dealing with. This is... I've never... Yes.
I've never seen 3 Elans in a row.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that was a good match.
Yeah.
It was a very expected outcome, unexpected way of getting to the outcome.
I don't think I've seen a player get so red since King B Dip against Ace last year.
Yeah, it really was kind of ridiculous. Just Paige knew what Beleos wanted at every turn.
Okay.
Alright, should be having them come in for interviews here momentarily. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
That was a very interesting match.
It was ridiculous to watch.
Hey, he banned a bunch of stuff that let me viably play my favorite pod. So I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, I've never seen 3 Elan picks in a row, gonna be honest.
Hey.
And I just had to ask, did Paige read every one of your track picks?
Well, I didn't have necessarily a strategy, so I kind of was thinking of kind of when it was time to pick, I'd make up a strategy, but also yes.
Did I just call them all?
Just most, if not all, yes.
I know I called Executioner.
You
Yes,
called
you did.
Executioner
I've got
for
like
sure.
a 3-second memory, so I'm gonna say 3 out of 4.
Alright then. Helps that I wrote it helps that I was on the team that wrote the rules originally, so I had the meta in my head from the beginning.
Yeah, you just already knew what was a possible thing. Especially with that Executioner thing. I wouldn't have thought of Executioner. I was talking to Draco, and I was thinking maybe banning something like Sunken City or Bumpy's Breakers due to the shortcut being kind of rough with bulls, but I can totally understand why you'd ban Executioner too.
It's hard as hell, but I kinda have fun with it. I wasn't expecting the tunnels to give me so much guff, even though I know Mars is huge.
Yeah, that's the reason I picked Elan originally, just because I knew he was a relatively small pod compared to Mars.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's
compared
just
to Mars,
standard size.
Basically everybody is.
I think he's just
small.
standard size.
Elan's pretty, like, maybe slightly above average. I'm not actually sure. I would have to look at the sheet, but,
Yeah,
it's
but
certainly above average for the Asterpods question mark?
I don't
Mahonic
know.
and Mars exist. I don't know. Maybe it's just average.
Mahonic has normal size stats. He just has a bigger visual model. That one I know.
Gotcha.
Like he's not large.
So really, then it's just Eldar and Mars then that are bigger.
I think so.
Okay. Yeah, pretty average regardless. But I sincerely would never have expected to see Elon 3 times in a row. I mean,
Neither did I going into it.
I guess it was actually a smart pick though, Beleos, when you banned Bullseye on Baru Coast, because that tends to be what Paige does Baru Coast with.
Oh, I was just
At
thinking
least
in
that's-
general how Bullseye is super agile.
I'm not going to
And
spoil.
anything's on Barunda is pretty rough otherwise.
Fair. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll just say Bullseye is what I did Baru Coast on 6 months ago.
Oh.
Oh, either she's trying to trick us with meta, or she's actually been switching it up. Ooh,
Double bluffing.
the mystery. We shall see later in the tournament.
Oh, on
perhaps.
Baru, I had the silliest crash there. I got that little mountain jump, like in the
Out of bounds
first
timer?
of the track. Yeah, and I was gonna
yeah.
do a little hard drop back onto the track, but I managed to hard drop like onto an invisible wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
just
also
died
speaking of crazy deaths,
in the
speaking
midair.
of
I
weird
don't
deaths,
know.
you had that weird death in Vengeance.
yeah,
Crashing
I
into
hit,
the side, the yellow part of the tube.
Yeah, the
Oh,
little
what?
hazard.
You hit the door?
I didn't even know you could do that. You
Wasn't
just
the
crashed.
door. He didn't crash to the door. He crashed at the edge of the tube, swung so wide he hit the ends of the tube, which is really hard to do.
You know the big section that
Really?
has like 2 branching paths that are closed off by like those purple shield things? He hit the yellow part on the outside of the tube.
Yeah, it's only like 20, 30 feet long, so it's like a whatever segment. But I was accelerating back up to speed after go figure, having hitting an out.
Yeah, you were accelerating with Mars and went like he strafed all the way to the right, and it just went right into the tube.
Yeah, right as invincibility wore off. Oops.
Also, to answer your question, yam 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 yam.
I can show them what happens right now.
There's if you were to somehow able to manipulate yourself out of the main part of the fast terrain tube, those tracks don't actually go anywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because we can see the track models and there's nothing loaded there. So
Yeah.
it's
I
kinda
wish you
sad.
could.
Like, just imagine you could choose your paths in the tubes. That'd be crazy.
I would love a track like that.
0G tubes, but you got to switch tubes.
Yeah, like just put
That would be honestly pretty great.
just put 3 equal length but varying difficulty tubes. Not even varying difficulty, just like differently placed rocks. So you just have to choose which one you want to deal with.
Also, King Bean, you're right. If we ever get to doing those modded tracks thing, that would be honestly a great idea if we could get like a shortcut path of fast terrain tubes inside of a tube.
See, no, what I've been thinking about for a long time now is a randomizer. At the start of each lap, you get put onto a random track with a random pod, and you still do 3 laps.
Oh no!
I would absolutely.
That sounds awful.
I don't know how realistic it would be, but it
All right,
sounds
Caillou
fun.
and I are gonna roll with that. We're gonna be
Matter.
solid.
Well, bear in mind, you can also just coming out of boost into the start of Fire Mountain Rally.
Yeah, you just insta death. You're trying to cross the line on like Mongaz, on like Mongaz or something faster. You're just trying to take your boost and go around it instantly into a wall.
Oh, it'd be so silly. Oh wait, the stats are doable.
Oh, yeah. Just let me pick the pod model and then switch the stats on me. That totally won't disorient us.
Yeah, no, that totally wouldn't screw with everything.
King Bean trying to really kill us there. I guess that would be just mid-race, though. It wouldn't happen like you would switch tracks, which is unfortunate.
No, it's all absolutely possible, but
Yeah. Well,
Don't know
anyway,
how
back to
realistic.
the match. How did you feel about that page? Like, your overall performance?
I mean, not great on any of the Elan stuff.
I suppose that makes sense.
But I mean,
Elan's
I didn't come
not
in
expected.
that practiced on him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't come in anticipating pulling him out. I was planning on pulling out Bowls, but figured I'd have some time. Ace, I am really sad about losing that boost.
Oh, yeah. That was an unfortunate tournament record loss right there.
Like, that was
Yes.
on that.
Literally, you lost like half a second at least, probably.
That was on pace for 35.8.
Yeah. So, 0.4, 0.5, somewhere in there.
And now I'm not going to get another chance to play it.
Yeah, no.
No, Mike, I got kicked up into the air by one of the tiny rocks.
Those tiny rocks suck. I've had that happen so many times. I hate it.
I just went slightly wide right.
Like that really make that difference? Damn.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Because you can't max out your heat at the end if you do that.
Yeah, like if you
Probably.
lose on boost at the start of the track, it's still technically doable. But it's way harder.
Yeah.
Like, say you lose your boost at the top of the hill, you just start your last boost a little earlier and you can get back onto standard heat.
Okay, yeah, but when you're that close to the finish line, there's
Exactly.
There's no
Job
room
is
left, yeah.
based.
And I think a whole second of lost boost time is something like 0.4, 0.5 seconds time loss with Ben or something like that. I don't remember the exact number.
Well, plus you got to remember being in the air slows you down a bit, so you lose a little more for that, even though it's not much.
Yeah, that's pretty minuscule though.
Yeah,
If
but
you
it's still like,
somehow managed to retain your boost, you would have been fine.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, Ace, you're right on that. It may have been a shutout, but Beleos has gotten so much better since the last time I saw him play.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Look, if you think about the quals, even compared to this, I thought that was a lot better this time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you PB'd Baru Coast, right?
What was it? No, it was a PB for not dying.
Ah! See, I mean, I died, what, twice or 3 times?
2 or 3 times, I don't remember exactly. Also, not dying with Ben on Baru Coast is a feat in and of itself.
I thought it probably wasn't quite as hard just because he's hardier than the zippier pods.
That's true,
Yeah.
but he does not turn compared to
No.
them, so it's easy to scrape a lot. Or misjudge a turn. I noticed that your PB was Neva Keys. I was expecting you to go Neva.
Well, those PBs are from the start of this tourney because I deleted the one race file.
Oh, okay.
The TGDDF whatever.
TGFD.dat.
That's the one.
That's the one, yeah. Oh, who does some switch?
You might be looking at mine, Mike.
Either that. Wait, Beleos, did you not die at all, or did you die a minimum number of times? I can't remember. Which one it was.
Once or twice. I managed.
Okay, so it was
mostly
just your least
unscathed.
number of deaths then. Got it.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha. Well, either way, dying that little with Ben is still a feat.
You know, Ben on Baru is hard. That's why I didn't pick him.
It's arguably the second hardest thing to do in terms of full track in the game. Optimally,
I mean, arguably
so.
the hardest.
You could argue it, but I would still say Grabvine's harder personally.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Grabvine, Bullseye's like. That's
I'm just
the
gonna
beast.
drive in a circle with bowls while we talk. But
Bowls
yeah, I'm
is
looking
weird.
forward to the rest of this. I need to get more practice in, just in general. I was out of town for a week and only came back at the start of this one.
Oh yeah.
So
It'll
this
be
is me on.
interesting when you get to King Bean.
It's gonna be 2 hours of. This is on me on like 2 hours of D-Rust. King Bean and I actually talked about it. We're gonna save our match for the end of the group, just because it's likely to be the decider,
we need to do
assuming
that.
I beat Zelaskalar and the others.
Yeah.
Oh.
Although Zelaskalar is always, I think he's underrated. Normally, he's very.
You know, he's very good.
Yeah, he's
His
very
qualifying was just a little bit spotty.
good. Yeah, I know he's a bit rusty right now, but I suspect that he's gonna work on that pretty shortly.
Yeah. So that
And
that
I've
should
done-
also be a fun match.
I've done a lot of multiplayer things with Zelaskalar, so I just know that he's a threat regardless.
Yeah, no, he's very good.
Honestly, your group is pretty well balanced in the sense that you could have a decider against King Bean, but Zelaskalar is an imminent threat to
Yeah.
second seed.
I mean, I also beating King Bean would be a very long shot.
That's fair. King Bean is he's a beast.
My
Well,
only
he
hope
might
is
be
he does his trademark over-aggressive stuff.
Which you know he's going to do because that's what he does.
I mean, it's what I do too.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, especially when you're going against higher ranked players. You just have to be more aggressive than usual, which doesn't really matter against in certain situations because the aggressive for you might be the not
me
so
dead.
aggressive for somebody else.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Ace, cough, cough.
This is gonna be a fun. It's gonna be a fun group to watch play out. They're all gonna be pretty interesting this year.
Yeah, I'm especially still excited for Banana Boat Kid versus Metallica in Group D.
Yeah.
Oh, you have two people who are pretty well known for how they do skips in certain tracks. Especially Banana Boat Kid was well known for his N64 skips, and Metallica very well known in terms of the Inferno skips specifically.
Yeah, that was really scary. Well, I played against him with it last year.
Oh, that's a good point, Ace. Nectarn is also in that group, and Nectarn certainly could upset.
Yeah.
Don't
This
count
entire
Nectarn.
tournament's gonna be.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
sorry
it's
if I'm
gonna be
making any
crazy.
viewers dizzy. I was just I didn't want to keep staring at a static screen.
Oh, my head. How could you do me like this, Paige? Should have just done 5 laps with bulls instead.
I didn't want to. My keyboard's too clicky for that.
Okay, that's fair. See, controller life. You don't have to deal about that with that anymore. Bam.
Meh.
Oh, so,
I like being on keyboard.
I'll never get it. But that's up to you.
Yep.
Anyway,
We should probably wrap this up. I've got a
yeah.
couple errands to run, and I need to eat.
Same here.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for coming in here to do an interview with us. Good games. Good job to both of you.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun one.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
That
and-
was a blast.
Yeah. Certainly was. I enjoyed commentating with thank you for commentating with me, Draco. I suppose I technically joined you, but it's always fun doing stuff with you, man. And
This
thank you
one of the
all
most
for
ridiculous
watching.
matches I've ever seen. Good luck. May the force be with you.
Good night, guys.